Today I'm going to be doing a demonstration for you of an abstract in acrylic. So I'm starting with my board that has already got some textures on there, and I put these on pretty similar to how I did the texture earlier on in the week. There's not masses on here, but it was just a board that I had that already had some textures on there, so I thought I would use it. I'm starting to add a base colour here, and the original colours that I'm using, I've got a phthalo turquoise, I've got some white, and I've got some cobalt blue. So I'm just going to start with these, but I will add other colours to it shortly. I'm just taking a little bit of time to go over those textures. Such gorgeous colours. That cobalt is such a lovely rich colour. The paints I'm using here are the Atelier interactive paints, which I really like using. They stay open a little bit longer. You can blend and work with them for just a bit more time. And I don't know where I'm going with this painting because of the way I like working with abstracts. I just start painting and see what inspires me. So I'm blending some of the colour on the board itself, on the picture itself, and just adding lights and darks. See what happens, see where I go. Putting in some darks here. I think I did actually just pick up a little bit of black, which was from something I had in the palette. I don't use black very often, but I just mixed it in here a little bit. The brush I'm using here is my 30mm flat brush, the Da Vinci brush. I use this brush an awful lot for a lot of different purposes, and it's a very versatile old favourite. So just blending in as I go on the picture itself. Now at this stage I don't know which way round the picture is going to be. You'll see later I have made a decision as to which way up I think it should go. But to start with, I'm just getting some colour down, and I will work into the picture and then make a decision based on how things go. Bringing a bit more of that cobalt in. The great joy about painting an abstract is that there isn't a wrong. You'll know when it feels right. I tend to probably overwork mine a little bit, but you'll know when it feels right. So it gives you an opportunity to play with all of those media, textures, applications that you've wanted to have a go with, and you're a bit nervous about putting them into one of your more traditional paintings. So just give yourself permission to play. I've added some white with the roller, and now I'm coming back in. I've got a bit of my turquoise and some of the green onto my roller as well. And I'm just taking a damp brush here. I've cleaned my brush, and as you can see I keep wiping the paint off onto my cloth, and I'm just smudging some of the edges here. Not all of them, just some of them. Gone over to a slightly smaller brush here, and this is just for a bit of blending and a bit of pushing some of that colour around. I don't want to lose all of that texture, but what I do want is just to get rid of some of those hard edges. I can put some of those in later. Now this is where working with an abstract can get fun. What I've got here is I've got some, it's a bright green, it's an acrylic ink. I think this is one of the FW inks. And I'm just getting messy, sticking my fingers in it and then flicking it across the canvas. Isn't it fun? Again, I'm just smudging some of the edges, not all of them, just some of them. And I'm just putting some paint on with my finger. Again, I quite like the texture that can give you. And a bit more flicking with a dark colour. This again is the green-black. Now just spraying water onto here, nothing more complicated than that, and just allowing it to run. And again, this is where those textures come into their own that were on the canvas already, because it diverts the dribbles, so it gives you some different effects. I'm putting some of the same dark colour in now with my palette knife. So I'm going to take the board and just rotate it, because I want some of those runs and dribbles to go in different directions. Just keep turning, letting it run, turn it and let it run. Look at it go. Isn't that fun? I'm just flicking some white on here. I've got some dark in, so I want to put something in that's contrast. A bit more spraying. This is the fun of it really though, you don't know where you're going to go, you don't know how much you're going to do. So I've turned it around again, and what I've got here is I found a little ring. It was the top of something that I found lying on my desk, so I've dipped that into some orange paint and I'm just stamping it on, just giving me some shapes. Oh, see if we can make some nice big, bright, bold orange splats. Now you see why I often have a throw or a dust sheet on my floor, because I do tend to make quite a bit of mess. Again, just using my finger to push some of the paint around, to dot it around. Doing a bit of smudging. Picked up a little bit of a pinky colour in there, which is what I use to make the orange. It's some quinacridone magenta with some yellow. And here I'm using the roller. I haven't really put any paint on the roller. This is just paint I'm picking up from the picture itself and just moving it around. I will pick some up in a minute, I'm sure. Quite like how this is going now. It's getting a bit busy in the middle, but I'm going to try and calm that down in a minute. A little bit more spraying to get some of that moving. I think I've decided at this point which way up I want the finished painting to be, but this is just about getting some movement across the canvas. Back the other way, that's nice. So just focusing in on that central area, I'm just going to pick up some lights and darks, knock some of it back a little bit, and then I think we're nearly there. So here I'm just using an old microfiber cloth. I quite like the texture that you get printing from the fabric itself. Now I've just got a small brush and I'm just putting some darks, pushing some darks back in behind some of these colours to make them stand out a little bit more. Get the state of my hands. I've had great fun doing this. So I think I've probably got enough contrast, light and dark in there, in all of that texture. So it's just about bringing the whole thing together now, really. There's only a couple of things more I think I need to do. Okay, now what I'm doing here, I've got an old piece of ribbon. I think came with a bunch of flowers, wrapped around some flowers, but it's got holes in it. So I'm just painting through those holes just to give me that texture. I'm not going to do too much of this. I've had this ribbon for ages and I use it on all sorts of different things. I'm literally just pushing the paint through the holes to give me that pattern. Again, just dabbing it with my finger, softening it, making it less of a printed shape. Couple of little bits more smudging. Now here I've picked up some of the black on the side of my roller and I'm just putting a couple of squiggly lines across. Again, it's just a contrast. It's got quite busy in the middle there, so I just wanted this to be a contrast, just a few broad lines. And then I'm going to pick up some of the black again and just pop that in. I can see all sorts of things into this now. I can see landscapes and I can see fields and I see hay bales, all sorts going on. And I want to keep this as an abstract, so I'm going to avoid the temptation of coming back into it too much and turning it into a proper landscape, which I could do. But I hope you've had fun watching me just play, which is all I've been doing here to create this abstract painting with just some wonderful colours and some fabulous textures. So thank you for joining me.